community here at Delrose and Hot Rock, but thank you also for the many friends and family that have driven long distances to be here. We have family and work family here from Alabama, West Tennessee, Willette, Florida, and Shepherdsville. We have lifelong friends here from Louisville. Thank you all so much for coming. Our mom, Nancy Jane Quillman McCue, was born October 10th, 1942 in Louisville, Kentucky. She was a great cook. She won first place at the fair for her chocolate cake recipe 2 years in a row, and we have copies of it available to everyone at the back. She was a woman of God. She prayed for all of us every day. Many times when I'd call, she was sitting in front of the heater reading her devotion. And I'd say, "What are you doing?" And she'd say, "Praying." She had a great sense of humor. She would quote Caddyshack and say, "When I die on my deathbed, I'll receive total consciousness." So I got that going for me. It was a quote from the movie that was really funny. She loved to sing and dance, and she would sing and she'd fry livers. And there was a Joe Cocker song called "Cry Me a River," and she would sing "Fry Me a Liver." Also, our mother spent her entire life caring for others. She took care of her 6 children. She took care of her mother when she passed away with cancer. She took care of her father for 14 years after a stroke left him paralyzed on his left side. She took care of our father as he battled dementia. And during all of these times as a caregiver, we, her children, were always still her priority. It's so difficult for me to understand how a woman with so many responsibilities could make each one of us feel like we were the center of her world. And yet that's exactly how she made us all feel. Mom moved in with Laura and Lonnie a few months ago when she had a stroke. We want to send a special thank you to her work family at North Alabama Bank and the Bank of Lincoln County for allowing Laura to work from home and care for our mother. Because of their generosity, Mom was able to spend her last days in peace and comfort, surrounded by children and grandchildren. Laura and Lonnie sacrificed their days, nights, and weekends to make sure she was comfortable. Lonnie Mullins is one of the most generous, caring, and giving men I've ever known. Every morning he'd say, "Hey girl," Mom, and she'd respond with, "Hey boy." It made it so that we could stop by at any time, enjoy a cup of coffee, and just sit and talk with Mom. So thank you, Laura and Lonnie. When the hospice nurse was preparing her care plan, she asked Mom what were her 3 most important things to make her comfortable. The nurse was expecting her to say something like her favorite foods or taking care of her so that she wouldn't suffer as she passed. Our mother's response was that she was a mom, and that was the most important thing. Even at the end of her life, her priority, her most important thing for her care plan was her children. For that reason, we are burying her wearing her mother's ring that we got her several years ago, like 40 years ago or something. I want to share a favorite memory from each of her children. Each memory or statement just confirms her great love for us and how we were her most important thing. First is Cliff. When he was little, Mom would make his lunch every day, and it was always a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And when she made the sandwich, she would place it in a brown paper bag, and she'd write on the bag, "Love, Mom." Well, Cliff would save the bag, and he'd take it back home for her to use again every day. And Mom thought it was because it would save money that he was bringing it back home. But it was because he couldn't bring himself to throw the bag away. The writing on that bag meant so much to him. And she understood this, and she would use the same bag until it was no longer usable. And then she'd replace it with another one and write on it, "Love, Mom." Next is Laura. And I'm not going in birth order, by the way, because we're beyond that at this point. When Laura started kindergarten, Mom would walk her to class each day. Finally, after 2 weeks, the principal, Mr. Cornwell, he stopped Mom and he told her that Laura knew the way to class and she didn't need to walk her there anymore. Mom cried. Laura didn't cry, but Mom cried. And then when Mom picked Laura up that day, she was still crying. She had cried all day long. Well, 4 hours. For me, our mother was everything that I wanted to be. I watched her every day of my life just to learn from her. She taught me to bake bread. She taught me to make cookies. She tried to teach me to fry chicken, but nobody could fry chicken like her. She would laugh and sing while she was cooking. She would laugh and sing while we worked in the garden together. And she would laugh and sing while we did laundry. She was just the cutest thing, always. Steve. Steve was the child that our mother worried about the most. When we were little, every time we went shopping, he would hide under the racks and she'd think she'd lost him. It was every time we went shopping. And then, he was always playing in the dirt. He was always dirty, and he'd get in trouble. And she'd put him in the corner, and there would be dirt in the corner where he had his face pressed up against it. And it was like, gosh, Steve. But Mom had faith in Steve, and she had faith in the Lord. And she knew he was going to turn it around. And when he finally grew up, Mom was always bragging on Steve. She wanted to show, let me show you what Steve did. Let me show you what Steve fixed here at the house. It was always, let me show you what Steve has done. And so she was so proud of Steve. For Tom, the foundation of faith in the Lord that Mom instilled in him was her greatest gift. He always loved her dedication to her family. Those are the characteristics that he has modeled his life after. While Mom was sick, she stayed with Tom and Sherry several times. Sherry would also stay at Laura's to help care for Mom throughout her sickness. She took her to the doctor, and she stayed with her when Laura had to go for meetings. Thank you, Tom and Sherry, for all the love and care that you gave Mom. For Pup, I'm going to read a special statement. And this Pup is Jennifer. I'm sorry. Jennifer, she's the last of the litter, and so Dad always called her Pup. When you have 6 kids, you have to do those kind of things. I will always think of her as the man, the myth, the legend. That is how my niece Emily described my mother in one sentence. Those words resonate with everyone who knew her because she was, simply put, an extraordinary woman. When I think back over my almost 45 years of having her as a mother, I am in complete awe of her. I cannot recall a day in my childhood when breakfast was not prepared or when supper was not on the table when I got home from school. All while managing the community grocery store, raising 6 children, caring for a sick father, and being a dedicated wife to a hardworking, strong-willed man. She had patience beyond understanding. She rarely, if ever, complained. She was kind, loving, compassionate to all she knew. She was selfless beyond measure. She was an anchor of support and comfort for her family daily. You could always count on her for a pep talk, a boost of confidence, parental advice, and a gentle and loving correction and direction. At the drop of a hat, she could burst into song and make you laugh and break up the seriousness of a moment. She loved God deeply and prayed Him into each one of our lives. He gifted her with a servant's heart, which she used to bless everyone with daily. She was truly one of a kind, and her legacy lives on in each of us who were blessed to call her Mom and Gaga. Well said, Pup. We want to send out a special thank you to Kathy for help sitting with Mom. It was difficult to find people that Mom felt comfortable with towards the end. Kathy is a member of our family, and Mom loves spending time with her. Thank you, Kathy. Our mom, the woman who saw us as her most important thing, is again with our dad. We will see her again. Until that time, we know that we are still her most important thing. We love her, Mom.